I certainly hope that Nigeria doesn't have to go to war. It's a nice way to greet the church, huh? I certainly hope we don't have to. But I'm ready for it. Can't discuss those things because there's still dialogue going on, and it's two civilizations globally fighting. Nigeria is just one of the fronts. That's important to understand. And I hope that the dialogue works to expunge terrorism from Nigeria perpetually. And it's going to take a lot of brain, battle brawn, and some brilliance in negotiation. But I really don't believe that you negotiate with terrorists. I think that you have to strategically be quiet whilst you prosecute your strategy. And everybody needs to be thinking. In World War, whose battle theater was the United States, and it was the biggest single onslaught in the Western Hemisphere, 9/11. America was not going to have the theater of war stay in the United States or in the North Americas. So the Battle of Terror moved to Europe, smaller skirmishes, France, the European continent itself, and they said, we don't want the terror on our shores either. Where do you think the terror went to? Africa. And that really pulverized Libya. And then Africa became, from the Maghreb, Sahel, including northern Nigeria, it became awash with weapons beyond AK-47s and M4s, rocket launchers, grenades. I hear they're equipping with drones. Now, we are Western civilization. That is Occidental civilization. The terrorists come from Oriental civilization. The two have never really had an opportunity to match or mix. When people believe that they will get 72 virgins for killing you and me, that's a serious ideology. That's very serious ideology. And it's written in the book that they believe in the most. Other Muslims who are mild or moderate, they don't subscribe to that. They don't believe in killing others in order to advance their religion. However, some seeming moderates under the cover of taqiyya, and taqiyya is an important word for you to understand. They occupy significant positions in various authority positions in culture, in the markets, and in the public sector. That's why it's so enlivened, but it is much bigger than Nigeria and Nigerian leadership. It's financed and funded globally by people who the West is friends with. So there needs to be a proper education. Write this down. In the future, there will be a war if the intelligentsia of Nigeria, meaning sophisticated strategic minds across the spectrum of nationalities or ethnicities in Nigeria, don't get together to plan, to understand, to plan, and to deal with this thing once and for all time. That's absolutely necessary. And you want to start attuning your mind to that. Some years ago, I gave you a plan A, what a leader at the federal, subnational, or sub-regional, the state, and the ward should look like. There were 10 points. And I said, if that fails to happen, you will need your plan B. Families call me from Canada, from around the world to say thank you. I couldn't afford to give my children an education in today's Nigeria. Nigeria wasn't working for our pay packet, and they're glad for that. And I said, will you come home if we fix it? By the way, I'm still here. Will you come home if we fix it? Of course, we want to come home. As soon as the children are grown, it's time to come home. And don't let them stay there too long. Remind them that their El Dorado is here. There are many non-indigenous Nigerians prosecuting war against us. It's a Hydra head. We understand that. It's blazing trails to create pathways for more non-indigenous to come. Those are all guns for hire, and so they're entrepreneurial. They will do kidnapping, ransom money, and all the rest of that. They do all that. Then they also become thugs, platoons and the likes, companies, sometimes even up to the level of brigades, for those who are extracting precious metal, gemstones, and the likes from the earth. Cattle have been the transportation for gold in Nigeria for over 25 years. Quietly, certain families from that region have been doing that. It has now become quite a popular business, and normally governors in that region grab a hold of it because they have authority. We have a battle to fight. And then there is a prosecution of a battle to exterminate indigenous people from their ancestral land in the Middle Belt and beyond the Middle Belt in parts of northeast Nigeria. And that's important for everybody to know. And they have a plan according to Kloruko Lisawa. Ganiu, what's his title? Ganiu, who's the field marshal of Yoruba armies. Ganiu Adams. He intimated yesterday there are 5 Yoruba states that they're planning to come to next. I don't mean to alarm you. It means your weapons not being natural, you have to engage them. You have to be wise, and you have to agitate with your leaders everywhere you find them. That includes me, so that we take our responsibility. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. I incidentally went to a secondary school called the Imperial Service College, the Haileybury and Imperial Service College, where they taught you how to plan for empire, expand it, consolidate it. We pray that we will find allies quickly, and that there'll be no false allies in our negotiating teams. So a lot of fifth columnists. I wish I could tell you the most important one in government, but I'll reserve that. I too want to live long. We greet you in Jesus' joy.
Speaking about the situation of Mr. Trump and his interests in Nigeria, I will say 3 things. I thank Mr. Trump for showing interest in Nigeria at all. Because speaking squarely, he can ignore us. We are not that relevant to them. He can ignore us and not speak. And we should not be ungrateful, because he is even more mindful about our situation in what he says. I don't know his heart, but in what he says, is more mindful than some of our leaders who are responsible for our security. Second thing is that we should not be tempted to turn Trump into our own old debates. There is no solution that can come from Trump or anybody that want to help only one section of the country to survive insecurity without helping the other section. It is not possible. Even the Pope cannot do it. To come and rescue Christians in Nigeria and not rescue Muslims or rescue other people. So we must not use the Trump intervention as a basis to litigate our hatred for each other or our old grievances. It should not become a Christian, Muslim, whatever debate. It's an insecurity question. So we must, if anybody wants to come and help us, that methodology means that you want to help every Nigerian. You cannot help one person or the other. It's not practicable. It's not possible. Lastly, our government should be in shame. And they should use that shame to solve the problem. Trump will not come if Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu says, in the next 30 days, nobody will be killed again. It will take America up to 60 days to put their command everywhere together. In that short period, you can restore order in the country if you want to. But what they are doing now, they are using the security as an excuse to loot all the money. The Nigerian armed forces, the way I know them, they can protect the whole of West Africa if you let them do it. But they cannot protect their own barracks if you say they should not do it. So it is clear that President Tinubu is in the long line of presidents who have turned against the people and used insecurity to siphon money. So it is good that justice is coming to him now, because it was one of those embassies that went to Barack Obama to cry that Goodluck Jonathan was killing the people. Now the judgment has come to the house of Tinubu. And last point, let nobody come and argue about sovereignty too much. Sovereignty is true, but under international law, of which I am a postgraduate in international law, sovereignty that conflicts with international humanitarian law will be ignored. That's why we have the Warsaw Convention and all of that. That's why they tried leaders for war crimes. The fact that you have sovereignty over your people doesn't mean you can kill them as you like or neglect them as you like. And to give a more personal example, where was sovereignty when President Tinubu said he wanted to invade Niger? If they could be dreaming of invading Niger, Mali and Burkina Faso, because they did military coups there, why can somebody not invade him because he's neglecting his people? So in conclusion, let us put fire to the feet of our government to protect us. Let us be grateful to international community talking about us. But if we, as I prefer, decide to solve the problem at home, Muslim, Christian, enemies, whatever, we must come together. You cannot deny, if there's no way I can be told to deny that certain communities in Nigeria feel genocided and attacked. Why do I say so? It's a subjective thing. In the last 2 years, I've contributed money to repair, rebuild up to 50 churches. So, I have comforted over 1,000 dead. Go to any of these churches, I have gone there quietly without carrying camera. You can go and ask all the leaders. So it is not today that Trump told me that people are feeling genocided. And I have met with also leaders of certain ethnic groups in certain places. I have had Fulanis telling me that in certain communities, the other groups want to kill them. And they are running after their cattle, roasting their cattle, trying to kill them. So in Nigeria, the question of whether there is genocide or not is not a debate that the government can be discussing. If your people are losing their lives in dozens, you already failed the primary assignment of governance, and we should not waste our time debating the issue. The solution to that problem is that President Tinubu can use the bullet to kill the terrorists or use the pen to resign.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and watch the next video. Shalom.